Hello again. As a disorder in Northern Ireland simmers away, I thought that I might say a few words about the nature of those at whom the hostility there is primarily directed, who are, of course, gypsies. There has historically been a certain amount of dislike of gypsies in Ireland, whom some people dismiss as tinkers and view in a negative light, for reasons which I shall explain. Because the gypsies making themselves at home in Northern Irish towns such as Ballymena are from Romania, this leads to confusion because they are Roma from Romania, and many people get these two names muddled up. Roma is cognate with the term Romany, which, as we all know, is a slightly romantic term for gypsies. In Romania itself, many people regard the Roma, of whom there are over 1 million in the country, as being a bit of a nuisance, and they get very irritated when people in Western Europe confuse the Roma from their country who have drifted into Western Europe in search of easy pickings with genuine Romanians. To see why gypsies, Roma, Romanis, or tinkers, call them what you will, are often unpopular, we need to understand their background and origins. Gypsies are the descendants of Indians from what is now the Punjab, who for unknown reasons adopted a nomadic lifestyle and began heading west towards Europe during the medieval period over 1,000 years ago. This, of course, accounts for the fact that gypsies tend to be swarthy and dark-skinned. It's their Indian ancestry. Some viewers might have come across Roma women from Romania selling the big issue in their town. They are often as dark-skinned as Indians because this is where their ancestors came from. When the gypsies reached this country centuries later, some people thought that these exotic-looking people were actually from Egypt, which is where the word gypsy comes from. It's a corruption of Egyptian. The language is an Indo-European one derived ultimately from Sanskrit, and a few of our common words are lifted from the Romany language. Pal, for instance, means brother or friend in Romany. The word chav is also Romany. Chavi means child and chavo means boy. Shiv too is a Romany loan word, meaning, of course, a knife. So why are the gypsies unpopular wherever they fetch up? This is due to their history as nomads, which has had a deep psychological effect upon them as a people. Before going any further, I am well aware of the partial destruction of Europe's gypsies during the Holocaust, and nothing I say is intended to provoke hostility against them. I am rather talking in general terms about the nature of nomads and how nomads are able to survive. I spent some time with Bedouin in the Sinai many years ago, and they are another example of nomads. Nomads such as the Bedouin and Gypsies do not farm land, build houses or roads, construct power stations, or set up hospitals or schools. Instead, they rely upon other people to do so, and they take advantage of these trappings of civilization as and when they need them. They are, to put the case bluntly, parasites who can only survive by exploiting a host. The Bedouin, for example, are pastoralists. That is to say, they have flocks of goats and herds of camels, and they move from place to place in search of grazing for them. If they come across cultivated fields or orchards, then they will allow their goats to graze there, eating their fill. They didn't plant the crops, and they don't really care that they belong to somebody else. I've seen this in practice, and the tribe of Bedouin can wreak havoc in a very short space of time if they pass through agricultural land. If they fall ill, they'll demand treatment at the nearest hospital, despite having paid no taxes. This is the nature of a nomadic lifestyle. Gypsies or were for almost 1,000 years also nomads. The Bedouin by and large live by exploiting the land, whether wilderness or cultivated areas. The Gypsies live by exploiting the civilisations which others have built up. You may see this in action when looking at the encampment in London's Hyde Park near Park Lane. For years now, a group of Roma from Romania have pitched their tents there, and they simply make a living of a kind from the surrounding streets. Even when such people are given permanent homes, perhaps they're provided with housing, say by the authorities, their lifestyle and customs are not that easy to shrug off, and these often clash with those of their more settled neighbours. The habit of living from the labour of others, whether in open country like the Bedouin or in an urban environment like the Roma, is not always likely to endear oneself to those living settled lives on farms and in cities. This then is at the root of the problems now being seen in Northern Ireland, although there is of course wider unease there at the scale of immigration in general.